Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to English Poetry at the Islamic University of Gaza occupied Palestine. Today we move from the Victorian age to the early 20th century poetry. Much of the poetry written in the first 20 years, 30 years of the 20th century can be classified as war poetry or pre-war, post-war, etc. We have this poem today by an English-British poet, Rupert Brooke. The name of the poem is The Soldier. Before I talk about that, before I talk about soldiers and war and dying for one's country, I want to ask you this question, this first question. I'll give you 1 minute to think about it and tell me what you think, what you have in mind. We're Palestinians. We've been under Israeli occupation for over 7 decades. In the past 10 years alone, Israel has waged huge onslaughts, committed many massacres, 3 major wars against Palestinians in Gaza, killed at least 5,000 Palestinians, including at least 2,000 kids, women, and elderly. You yourselves, you were born in war, raised in war, and every couple of months, you come under heavy Israeli bombardment. That's war. That's living war, under war, being occupied and oppressed. So what feelings do you have when Gaza comes under Israeli aggression or under Israeli war, personally? Can you tell? Think about it. Like, honestly, how do you have a particular set of feelings? Do you feel this way? Do you have conflicted feelings? What does it mean to you to be living under war? Because this kind of poetry is very related to our lives. Yeah? Take a minute, think. How did you feel 2 weeks ago when Israel waged its latest attack? How did you feel when Palestinians, kids, whole families were bombarded, were killed as they slept? And also, how did you feel, or how do you feel usually when Palestinians respond to this kind of terror? When Palestinian resistance tries to deter Israeli aggression? Does it make a difference? Okay, I'm just giving you a moment to think. I'm sure you already have so many things to say. Okay. When were most of you born? When? 19? Yeah, so you lived through the second intifada? Everything, yeah? Oh, yeah, still, yeah. You were born during the intifada. Okay.
Actually, when we have Israeli escalation, I feel like I don't want to live this again, because in the last war in 2014, my home damaged partially, and I remember that night how we escaped from our home, even without wearing bright clothes or like that. So
it's personal.
Yeah.
War is not some pie in the sky, some distant experience people talk about, you read about, you watch on TV and movies. It's something personal.
Live it.
What else? Thank you. Please.
I Sure, I feel very sorrow and sad, and I search for the time to put the sense for all the senseless and restricted the word occupations in all dictionaries. So I think this is a chance for me to write more poetry to restrict and erase all the.
So there's again the feelings of sadness, mainly sadness. Is it sadness? Are you sad? You like down?
And I remove this sad by writing more
Okay, and
poetry as
so you decide to do something
as
about
a way
it.
of defense. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. More.
Unfortunately, I describe myself mostly as an escapist because I always try to escape and try to distract my mind from all the things that are happening by. I don't know,
So what kind of feelings do you experience?
What kind of feelings? Yes, I do feel sad for people, but I try as much as possible to not do this, and this is so bad. But I try to not let it affect my own spirit.
So you feel detached?
Yes.
Okay, detached, please.
Maybe you in the worst, especially you afraid not to about yourself, but about your kids, your friends, your dearest one, your grandma.
So
your father.
feelings of fear.
So you are waiting for a news, someone killed, or
You're anticipating. You every moment you're anticipating the death of somebody you love around you.
Maybe you will die.
The feeling that death is hovering around, that at any time you can be just taken away prematurely and untimely. Please.
I think for all of us, it's the sense of fear of losing some of our families and friends.
So that's personal more than anything else. Does it get out of this? What if you're certain, nobody is certain here, anybody can die at any moment, and that's what being Palestinian is, not in the past decade, just in the past 7 decades. So is it, if you're certain that nobody you love is going to die, is that going to make a difference?
The sad thing for me is that everything I wrote, a short story or a poem, is about wars and Palestinians.
So this is again some kind of a reaction to war, but at the same time, how war is dominating us. Predominantly, Palestinian writings are war literature.
I feel unjustified, unheard, and I feel.
You feel? Say again.
Unjustified and unheard, and I feel how life could be disordered as Israeli are questioned is if they killed kids or not, and they are from the first place shouldn't be here in our home.
Okay. So the feelings of injustice, the feeling of being left alone, being left probably to die.
There is a war outside, and I have a war inside of myself. I keep questioning how people can give up their humanity.
Oh yeah, that's a very good feeling. Yeah. So like you just how? Why would you bomb us? Why would you, in the first place, occupy us? Why would you bombard like this heavily crowded area and kill people and kids and mothers and fathers as they slept? Not that any other kind of bombardment is justified. Not when you say this, we have to be careful. When you're saying this, it shouldn't mean by any way that we justify or we understand the fact that Israel also kills resistance fighters. Still, this is an occupying power. Please.
It's like I'm stuck in a moment of time that isn't developed for me. Like, I cancel all my plans, obviously, and I don't know when my life will be resumed. I keep like scrolling down news and reading news, and like whenever there is a bombing, we just go outside the window and try to navigate where this is and who of our family or friends lives there, and just keep checking, calling them, and like making sure that they're fine. I also like wrote a story about where the hospital was threatened to be bombed, and my father was there, and like, there was a bombing, and we looked at it was like
Coming from that direction.
From that direction, and we kept calling him, but like he wasn't answering, and people were calling us asking if we talked to him. And just we lived in a moment of not knowing.
Exactly. This moment of futility, if you want to say, like meaninglessness. It's like What does it mean to be alive? It's life. That's why you stop everything. If you're watching a TV show, you stop. If you're reading a book, you stop. If you're doing, like mostly, it doesn't mean you have to do this, but some people might, because they want to distract and detach themselves from the news, from the surroundings, they could do something like writing, like watching more TV, binging on some TV show you've missed, or reading a book or something, or at least, I don't know, lying there asleep, not listening to the news.
Besides feeling terrified and sad, I started feeling pity to ourselves as Gazans and myself personally, because we have the minimum stage of living. On wars, we only want to not to die, and this is like something taken for granted for other people, just to be safe. So we didn't live anything. The only thing we want is just not to die, and this is like we haven't experienced anything in life so far.
So, what is considered to be basic human rights? The right to live in peace, the right to decent human rights, not political rights, although political rights are basic human rights. Life here has become a privilege. Life has become a luxury we cannot afford. We don't afford. We're living under siege. We've been besieged for over 10 years, 12 years. Actually, we've been besieged over 7 decades. The very existence of the Israeli occupation means that we are suffocating. We don't do what we want to do. We don't marry the people we want to marry. We don't build the house we want to build. We don't get the job. We don't travel when we want. We don't go to the country we want, because there will always be Israeli restrictions imposed on us, controlling our every aspect. Sometimes you don't eat the food you like or the fruit you like. And sometimes it's not even political. That's why you keep asking these questions. And many people asked these questions in their writings. Please read Murid al-Barghouti's fascinating autobiography, I Saw Ramallah, Ra'aytu Ramallah, in Arabic, but it's also superbly fascinating in English. Also read, what's her name, Suad al-Amiri, Suad Amiri's Sharona, my mother-in-law. It's very funny, very comic, very ironic book. In another Palestinian writers, sometimes Tamim's poetry does this, how they expose the fact that the occupation is arbitrary. Like sometimes we think, and I know many people will do this, like if Israel bombs some area here or there, you just ask the question, okay, there must be something that made Israel bomb this particular area or this particular house. But most often, Israel will come out and like, oops, we made a mistake. Oops, we killed these 50 people by mistake. We didn't mean to kill these. We didn't know that Israel that knows everything with technology and everything here. That could be, it could be something arbitrary in the sense that there could be no reason. There's this movement in Israel called Breaking the Silence. They had their soldiers, consisting of soldiers, Israeli soldiers, who participated, who killed people, who were part of the occupation. And horrifying testimonies about how they would just for fun, would kill this, kill that, would shoot somebody. One of the guys was like, we killed somebody because he was walking suspiciously. And for more than a year, I was haunted by how I walked. Because what does it mean to walk suspiciously? Honestly, what does it mean? Sometimes they would be counting the cars, for example. Okay, 1 car, 2 car, you hit the third car. Sometimes they would be looking at a particular house and not like the paint job, or not like something, and they would bomb the hell out of it just because it's ugly. Yeah, let's do this. And we've seen videos leaked cheering for soldiers, snipers, cheering for simply killing Palestinians or getting them somewhere. So why do Israelis do this? The occupation and its brutal thing, it dehumanizes people. But also, it could be because they lost. They lost something. I'm sure an Israeli soldier, because, you know, Messi last night won the Ballon d'Or, you know, the biggest individual prize for football. Maybe a Ronaldo fan, an Israeli Ronaldo fan, would be angry this morning and turn a Palestinian's life into hell. Maybe they would be losing a match. Maybe they would be, somebody would be angry with his mother or girlfriend or kids or boss. And this anger will be, you know, in a way, the Palestinians would be paying for. exactly like Palestinians have been paying for European sins, the Holocaust, for decades and decades. My question here, okay, thank you very much for this. I'm sorry if I'm bringing these memories back, but remember, it's always good to write. It's always good to talk, to release, okay? But again, sometimes Palestinian resistance, and that's the, like no matter what happens, there's always those valiant Palestinian freedom fighters who are the hope not only for Palestinians, but for all oppressed people around the world. Sometimes they manage to react, at least react to this kind of terror. How does that make you feel, honestly? If you don't want to say, it's okay, it's up to you. This is not any, like, are you still angry? Do you want them to stop? Do you feel happy? Do you feel proud? Do you feel like at least there's somebody who's doing something about this? Despite we know Israel is 1,000,000 times more powerful than us. But resistance is in the nature of things. Look at the cat, what a cat does when somebody takes its kitten, or even, right? Please.
I will keep feeling angry, of course, because the feeling of inequality along the world. You know, let's think about it. How many Israelis has been killed through the 3 wars? And we still, according to the whole world, we still the terrorism part, and we are terrorists, and we should be killed. And they don't face the fact that we are the one who are being killed, not them. And actually, they have many protection systems. So we're not equal at all. Even if the world stands by us, there's nothing happens. No sea. We're still besieged. We still can't travel. We still can't speak freely. They are controlling not our lives only. They are controlling our death as well.
Yeah, when we die, okay. But again, going back to my question about Palestinian resistance reacting to Israeli terror.
I think that it depends on the propaganda. I just want to comment on something that's changed.
Okay.
Like it's all about the media and how to promote your own case. Because looking back to like the last couple of days when we had some kind of like a war, like like the world went crazy on a picture that they posted on a child who could not celebrate his birthday properly because he was so afraid because of the bombing. At the same time, we had the same story, but like in a very more tragical way, in which like a girl lost her 2 parents on her birthday. But they knew how to. I don't want to say promote their case, but like they knew how to publish this or how to make the whole world aware of this and how to have their own attention.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good point. Yes, please.
I think, go ahead.
Anyone of you, yeah.
I feel proud when we resist and we respond. Although like we all deep down know that we are not as strong as they are, but at least we are trying to defend ourselves. And in fact, I think this is shared by a lot of people because I see in social media whenever we respond, a lot of people be cheering up for the resistance. And I think, that makes me very proud.
Okay, a feeling of pride, a feeling of, again, some justice. There is some justice there. There are people who, despite everything, who are willing to do something about it, despite the inequality, despite everything else, despite the, we having nothing, no weapons, and Israel having everything and support of the world.
Because of our resistance, I feel proud to have this to have this resistance because it's, in my feeling that we keep defending our land and our people. This is something, and there is something I want to mention. I agree with Noha that even there is no equal between something. They have panic attack. People have feeling panic attack. But here we have true injuries and true martyrs here in Gaza. So where's there is no equal even in the injured side. And according to the story, they have stronger media to marketing their Israeli story. And
okay,
this maybe,
so
I don't know.
That's why it makes it more like obligatory on you, especially you studying English, to get our message out there. First of all, just at least to speak Because speaking and writing are acts of resistance. Living here is an act of resistance. Sometimes eating, particular, you know, is an act of resistance. What I'm saying is that we need to do something about it, to communicate with ourselves, to reconcile with ourselves, and also to get our message out there to the world, because this is our job, right? If the people, and thanks to social media, some of you mentioned social media, thanks to social media, we have more and more people around the world supporting Palestinian cause, because many people have started to write back, to show, to expose Israeli war crimes and aggression against Palestinians. I'll go to the poem. I know, like, I want you to think of this. When you go home, probably you can write a poem or something about it. So, the soldier, Rupert Brooke. If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore, shaped, made aware, gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam, a body of England's breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by the sons of home. And think, this heart all evil shed away, a pulse in the eternal mind no less, gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given, her sights and sounds, dreams happy as her day, and laughter learnt of friends and gentleness in the hearts at peace under an English heaven. Do you think this man likes war? Is he pro-war or anti-war? Yeah? What do you think? Go to the poem in your book. What page is it? So is this man saying war is good, let's fight? Or stop the war, it's horrible, it's grim. It's tragic. Before going back to this question, how many times is England like English mentioned here? Can you count? How many times do we have England English? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a lot of England and English, yeah? England, English, England, English. What could that possibly indicate? What does it tell in the poem? What's that? Pride, being English? Yeah, England, English, England, English. Is it mentioned in positive or negative circumstance, like situation, context? Where is negative? Where are the negative words? English heaven, is that bad? Probably for some people, even English heaven is still hell. But here, at least, this is positive, English heaven. You know? And I like how this is like English heaven. I remember this was written around 1914. English Empire, still people, you know, felt pride being English, just being English, merely being English.
Breathing English
What?
air.
Breathing English air. Washed by the rivers. How does the poet deal with England? What does he do to England in the poem? Thank you very much. Listen, if you talk about your country, your car, your ship even, or your boat, you can still personify them. Your cat, your dog, your parrot, your lion pet, if you have one. You can still personify this thing. So we talk, Palestine is proud of her children. You could say that. But here, this is an extended act of personification. He's talking about England as what? As a human being, what kind of human being, particularly in particular? Yeah? Yeah? A man, haram alayki. Yeah? Where does the poet personify England?
And thoughts by England.
And? 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 Don't repeat the things you already said so we can see other things. And? And? Okay, so what does that indicate? It's a woman. What kind of a woman? Mother. He's personifying England, not only just as female. You know, female could mean, you know, just being female, physically female. You could use the term female, by the way, for animals. That's why some feminists don't like the word female. Like, what female? I'm a cat? Am I a cat? So like a woman, but this is no ordinary woman. This is a mother, a grandmother. Because the fact that the dust whom England bore is the past of bear. We usually use the passive, born. I was born. My mom bore me. This is the physical bearing, you know, carrying, lifting. But also it could mean the fact that England here is the woman who in her belly carried this for 9 months and then. And look at hair. Remember, I told you all the time, if there are pronouns in the text, you need to trace them to what they refer to. It's significant to understand. So there's this many repetitions of England, and there's these positive references of England. England, breathing England's air, right? English air. And also England's heaven. And how England here, are these negative or positive words? If you want to take this, only this, if I die as the negative word, the poem is predominantly negative, positive, and, you know, kind of celebratory even. There's a festive mood here. If, look at this if, not when. Not if I die or when I die even. There's when I die, certain, like when Shakespeare said, when in my eternal lines, right?
Yes, certainly.
If I die, if I should die. If you should see Ali, this is more polite, but also, if I should die. Probably he's distancing himself from death here. Yeah. The poem truly begins with I. We think this is a personal poem about a personal experience, like you just mentioned here. But as we go into the poem, this turns into an impersonal poem where the poet is distancing himself from the act of dying. Not imagining it. Like just imagining it something. If I should die, think only this of me. And the evidence here is in the fact that we don't have any I or me in the rest of the poem. So because it's all about England. It's all about boasting and bragging about that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. Wow. You know, colonial mentality. Yeah. But if I die somewhere, there is actually a cemetery, I guess, one or two, for the English soldiers who died during the First World War, the Great War. One, not two. So there's one huge cemetery in Gaza for English soldiers who were killed in occupied Palestine. So this foreign field becomes what? Forever England. Because this area, this plot of earth contains the remains of an English man. Does that make him sad? Does that mean he is telling people don't go to die because if you die you're going to die alone, probably hungry, angry, sad, isolated, detached? Or is he saying something else? That is forever England. There, this corner of a foreign field, there shall be in that rich earth, it's rich because this person died there. but it's going to get richer because of the body again. So this foreign field, this foreign piece of land that witnessed the death of those British English soldiers, it's rich. This earth is rich. What makes it richer? The bodies, the remains. And that's again adding to this pride here. This we make a difference. English people, British people, they make a difference. Wherever they go, they bring richness there. A richer dust concealed. Dust, it's the body, but because originally. Now a dust, what is the dust here? What does it refer to? The soldiers. Okay. Whom England bore, shaped, made aware. Look at England being the mother, being the educator, being the teacher, being the school, being the university. Gave her flowers to love. Gave once her flowers. Everything your country gave you. Everything you have, your country gave you. Also her ways to roam, to move freely when you were young or a kid. Body of England's, breathing English air. Everybody is an embodiment, is the embodiment of England herself or itself. Breathing English air. Washed by the rivers, blessed by the sons of home. Everything you have, your country gave you. This is more or less a beautiful image amidst talking about war and dying. Everything you have is not yours. It's your country. You don't belong to you. The suns that warmed you, English suns, the air you breathe, English air. The ways you roam were given to you by your country. And think, this is again the poet, if I should die, think only this of me. And think this heart all evil shed away. That's very, again, interesting. I'll ask you this question to think of when you go home. Because as Palestinians, we've been paying probably some of the heaviest price due to English horrible Balfour Declaration that gave Palestine to the Zionists, right?
Yes.
So this English heart, the English people, the English soldiers have no evil at all in this. Like, a snake sheds its skin but this is like more. This is spiritual. And so all the evils have been shed away. There is no evil, more or less. Tell that to Palestinians. A pulse in the eternal mind, no less, gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given. Here again, continuing to personify England, this beautiful image. Her sights and sounds, dreams, happy as her day. So this death is not a nightmare. It's a dream, and not an ordinary dream. It's a happy dream, a dream of England probably dominating again, winning the war, being victorious, and also bringing happiness and laughter to this poem. For many, it could sound, nobody said when there is war, I'm laughing. Yeah, probably you said I'm proud because there's this Palestinian reaction to resistance, right? But being happy, yes, it's war, yes. Haha, that's the moment I've been waiting for. And laughter, learnt of friends and gentleness, in hearts at peace. I'll be in hearts at peace, but most significantly, under an English heaven. That's a hardcore pro-war poem here. This man is saying, let's go die for our country. This man is saying, we don't own ourselves. This man is saying, if the country calls, we should be in the front. And indeed, this man joined the British Army. He was in the Navy. We'll see what difference that makes. He wasn't in the war itself, in the fighting, you know, shooting. He was in the Navy. In the Navy, you were safe somewhere, relatively safe at sea somewhere. And he wrote this poem in the beginning months of the Great War, 1914. So some people think that because he was far away from the grim reality of war, the horrible, horrible scenes and realities of the war, he was kind of romanticizing war, you know, romanticizing war. So let's go, let's die for our country. It is, like Horace said, it is sweet and proper to die for one's country. And I want to notice two things here. Number one, the traditional imagery he uses. In many ways, you'll find this connected to that poetry of probably, I know, in Homer or Beowulf or other English heroic poetry, poetry of battles and wars, how the fighters are heroes. They're defending their honor, their country. They're paying back the debt. But also notice also, so there's this traditional thing, traditional imagery of, you know, the sun and the, you know, things from England, the river, the image there, these beautiful images of nature, beauty. But I like, you know, this under an English heaven could just be like under heaven physically being somewhere. But heaven could also mean paradise. This could be a religious image here, a religious tone, religious language. So don't worry, if you die for your country, you're going straight to heaven. You are a martyr. You don't die any death, any ordinary death. You are a hero, and your country is proud of you, and we are going to celebrate you. And indeed, this poem has become a very famous, if you go to YouTube, many people sing this poem. And England has used this poem all the time to, again, to incite, soldiers, people to join the army to fight evil terror around the world, to defend the crown, to defend the queen, to defend the king. And I read somewhere that this man was, he was in the army, but because he wrote many poems that are pro-war, he was, I don't know what the term is, he was called from wherever he was, and he didn't want to go back. He wanted to join the army, he wanted to fight. But the country wanted him back home safe and sound. He could write more poetry and promote, this, And again, this indicates how significant poets and poetry are. The country needs soldiers, right? But also the country needs poets to tell the people that, hey, don't worry, you're going to die a hero. And that's why we're going to compare this next class with a poem by Wilfred Owen, a man who really was at the front, who saw people die. Before we finish, I want to go through these questions, and I probably can talk about some of them in brief. So again, is this a pro or anti-war poem? Does it call for war? Does it say war is horrible? Pro-war. Unless you take this as a very, very silly argument and you think it does the opposite. I don't want to die just to be under English heaven. Okay? But yeah, this man is known, Rupert Brooke, as a pro-war poet. What do you think of the poem as a Palestinian? What do you think of this? Because listen, this is the war that, again, it happened mainly in Europe and somewhere in colonized areas, but as Palestinians, we still pay the price for this. And don't forget that, again, the English cemetery of British soldiers, an area that Palestinians have been taking good care of, respecting and protecting, which is really good. Because these are young people who were sent, probably some of them unwillingly, to war. But as a Palestinian, what do you make of this poem, please?
First of all, I believe that
he actually doesn't reflect at all the real meaning of war. War is savage, is cruel, and he even didn't mention the word. He gave the image, and actually he gave a great image, so he can like wash the minds of the soldiers, so they can.
So you think this is kind of brainwashing, you know, indoctrination?
Brainwashing.
The reference to war is just here. The soldier. If the title of the poem, the sonnet. This is the sonnet, by the way. Look at the sonnet. Is A, B, A, right? C, D, C, right? Can let's look. A, B, A, B, C, D, and then aware, air, yes, C, D. Is that Shakespeare or Petrarch? It's never Petrarch. Petrarch is A, B, B, A, B, B, A. Shakespeare is A, B, C, D, C, D. He doesn't do this. But because if you think this is one unit here and an octave, probably closer. The fact that he alternates between the rhymes makes it close to Shakespeare, but then the fact that this is an octave and then followed by assisted means that this is basically probably not Shakespeare, not Petrarch. A combination of both, but also at the same time, he's changing the rhyme scheme. And I don't think there is a twist here. There's an argument. He doesn't argue. He doesn't say, some people say, dying is bad, is horrible, war is bad. However, it's all about how beautiful it is, how sweet and proper it is to die for one's country. So A, B, C, D, C, D, and then, yeah? E, F, G, very strange, E, F, G. He's using all Shakespeare's letters, right? But there is, we don't have a couplet here. This is assisted. Okay. Same question?
Maybe this structure related to the conflict. This
In what
one,
sense?
and he is mixed between the war and peace. Not exactly about the war, and he's the reason also mixed between Shakespearean and Petrarch.
Possible. Okay, I like you thinking, connecting the form to the meaning here. How is England represented in the poem?
Yes, as a mother.
Yeah?
Here England represented as a mother, and I want to say something. There's no comparison between our title as a Palestinian and their title. They don't defend their country against invaders from outside to their countries. No, they go to their countries and invade. Actually, they invade them.
They were invading other countries and also expanding or defending the British Empire. Thank you.
I would say that a Palestinian actually would write something similar to this, because Palestinians, when they go and like freedom fighters, we call them freedom fighters because like they see the land as like land of flowers and the everything that belongs to them. But I don't think that an Israeli soldier would think the same, except if he is really in a safe place, as you mentioned before. But I don't think that they have this kind of connection to their land.
That's why it's really always fascinating to compare, to do comparison studies. Palestinian poetry has always been compared to Irish poetry because there was this resistance thing. And if you listen to Irish songs, you'll be amazed how similar. Sometimes they think of how again sweet and proper it is to die for your country. Okay, I'm raising these points now. What does under an English heaven indicate? I just partly mentioned this. That England is heaven, but also that this is a religious thing, and that how the poet is using traditional imagery from like traditional ways of writing poetry, of fighting, of heroism, the battles, the sun, the heaven, the river, the happiness, but also using religious. So is it, again, part of how he's trying to convince these soldiers to talk, to address, to invoke their religious mentality here, that God is with you. God is with us, the English people.
I don't know if this is related, but maybe it can be related to the English, the white man's duty of like enlightening other people and or like the civilized countries. Because as you said before, they go to countries and they invade them. So maybe he wants to let people know that this is the English heaven that you will be having in your country when you come and invade you.
So rather, we are turning. Okay, you're suggesting that this is how again the white man's obligation to go and civilize other people and turn hell on earth into heaven. Possible, but I take it as more of a religious indication here, more of a religious term to convince people more that death is going to be followed by heaven.
For me, I believe that this person totally has a colonizing mental. Actually, look at how many times he mentioned England. He was promising that English is going to dominate the universe, so as the heavens. That's why he mentioned.
I don't think there is an indication that England will dominate, but possibly the fact that he keeps repeating,
A foreign field, there will be
becoming England. Okay,
there is-
so wherever we go, whatever we touch,
it will
like
be English.
everything. There's this book, Everything Trump Touches Dies, and there is this Greek mythology. What's his name? The guy. Everything he touches turns into gold. That's very famous in English, in mythology. Who's Greek corner here doing? Who's doing Greek corner? What's the name of the guy that touches the whatever he touches turns into gold? Nope. Medeus, something like this. Like closer to Mediosa. Yeah. Okay. So everything English, everything England touches turns English. Typical. Now Brooke's poem, The Soldier, is an example of the dangers of romanticizing war, telling the young people war is fun, it's just go kill people, and by comforting the survivors, telling the mothers, the parents, and this is probably a poem written not for the soldiers, about the soldier, for the parents, just to to comfort them, to tell them that your kids are in heaven. And that's why he's bringing heaven here as a religious term, because older people tend to be more religious. They seek solace, they seek peace in the fact that at least their kids died a happy death, died doing something they wanted to do, and also defending their country, and also died happy and laughing. And that's why, again, here the reference to an English heaven. And he's also accused of downplaying the grim reality of war. I'm using this as a quote. Listen, look at this. If you're doing research, look at these brackets here. Square brackets. I am adding, if you're quoting something and you're adding to the text things that don't change the meaning, just sometimes even capital or small letter. I added of war. So to tell the reader that this is not something that the original author said, it's something I am adding to make it clearer in the context I'm using. You use this thing. So think about this. How is this romanticizing? How is he telling people to do this? Now, finally, again, another quote. For a nation desperate to turn the senseless loss of its soldiers into something that could be coped with, something you could adapt to, even celebrated, like he is celebrating war here. Poetry, like Brooke's poem, became a cornerstone of the remembrance process. How countries, again, used such kind of literature, consider this poetry, this literature as significant because it serves the purpose they have, the purpose of, how, and if you watch American movies, it's always there. There's always this huge respect for previous soldiers, for veterans. They give them discounts, they respect them, they give them priority, they give them loans, they You just, if you turn into a soldier in America, you're the best. Almost everyone is going to respect you. And there's the famous poster like, America wants you, this thing. And we've seen we always see how American movies and Hollywood, how they glorify soldiers. And at the same time, how they demonize and dehumanize the others. There's this movie, one of the worst movies ever, The Sniper, the man who killed about 150 Iraqis. And how you're made still to feel sorry for this bloodthirsty murderer, terrorist, he should be called. But what is killing 150 Iraqis? Nothing. And Trump is now pardoning war criminals, soldiers who committed hideous crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan. What message is he sending to young Americans, to soldiers?
You should kill
Just kill. Don't worry. I'll protect you. I'm sending you there because there's this idea, like the argument, like I'm sending you there, there's a possibility that you're going to die at any moment. You're going to die at any moment, but I'll have you back. If you do anything, even killing hundreds of people. Even there's this horrible massacre in Iraq where the soldiers raped a 10-year-old, they killed her parents and family and brothers and sisters. And the man, the same soldier was like saying, we didn't treat Iraq, we didn't consider Iraqis human beings. That's demonization and dehumanization. War is bad. War never ends. But yet, some people will find it proper to celebrate, to glorify, etc. So think about these things, and I'll stop here. Next class, we're doing another war poem by Wilfred Owen, Futility. Thank you very much. Good luck.